So, you've probably heard about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin, Ethereum, other cryptocurrencies. It can get pretty complicated, right? You need powerful computers, a ton of electricity, a deep understanding of how it all works. The Pi network flipped that script. Make digital currency accessible to everyone, literally anyone with a smartphone. Mine from the palm of your hand, without draining your battery or using up all your data. Ambitious. Build a massive, inclusive network. Vision simple but powerful. Not controlled by a few server farms, but by millions around the world. Not supercomputer algorithms. Instead, social connections secure the network. Lightweight and user-friendly. Stripping technical barriers. Tens of millions of users. Tapping a button each day. Contributing to the network. Accumulating Pi coins. Before mainstream market value. Started in 2019. Slow, steady build. Built by Stanford grads. Deliberate rollout. They didn't just launch and hope. Built in phases, testing every component along the way, ensuring secure, stable, ready for open mainnet. Alright, so you're tapping the button, you're seeing your Pi balance go up, but what's happening behind the scenes? This is where the concept of a testnet comes in. Think of it like a full-scale dress rehearsal for a big Broadway show. Before the show opens to the public and people pay for tickets, the actors, the crew, the director, run through the entire performance over and over again. They test the lights, the sound, the set changes, and make sure every line is perfect. They do this in an empty theater so that if something goes wrong, if a light flickers or an actor forgets a line, they can fix it without any real-world consequences. That's exactly what a testnet is for a cryptocurrency. It's a complete functioning replica of the final network, but it operates in a closed, controlled environment. The coins on the testnet, often called test Pi, have no real-world value. You can't buy a coffee with them or trade them on an exchange. Their only purpose is to be used for testing. Developers and users can send these test coins, receive these test coins, run applications, try to break the system on purpose. It's a sandbox where you can build, experiment, and make mistakes without causing a real financial disaster. This testing phase is arguably one of the most critical stages in the development of any blockchain project. It's where the developers find and fix bugs, optimize performance, and test the security of the network against potential attacks. Imagine if a major bank launched a new online banking app without testing it first. It would be chaotic. A testnet prevents this kind of chaos. So, with that background, let's get to the main event. Pi Network. Testnet v23 upgrade. The Pi core team has just rolled out a major upgrade. Testnet v23. Now, the version number might not sound super exciting on its own, but in the world of software development, a jump like this signifies a whole lot of work and some serious improvements under the hood. This isn't just a minor tweak or a simple bug fix. It's a substantial step forward for the entire network. Think of it less like a software update on your phone and more like getting a brand new engine for your car. The car might look the same from the outside, but it's going to run a whole lot better. This upgrade is a culmination of months, if not years, data collection, testing, and feedback from the community. Ever since the enclosed mainnet period began, the core team has been observing how the network behaves, how transactions are processed, and where the bottlenecks are. Testnet v23 is their answer to those observations. It's designed to make the network faster, more efficient, more robust. For the average pioneer, this means the technology that supports their future PI balance is getting a major tune-up, preparing it for the heavy lifting of a fully operational open market economy. The announcement of Testnet v23 has sent a wave of excitement through the Pi community, and for good reason. For a long time, pioneers have been patiently mining, building their security circles, and waiting for tangible signs of progress toward the open mainnet. This upgrade is exactly that, a clear, concrete signal that development is not just continuing, but accelerating. So, what exactly makes Testnet v23 such a big deal? Let's pop the hood and look at the key improvements. One of the headline features is a major enhancement to transaction processing and ledger management. In simple terms, the ledger is the official record book of all transactions. The previous versions of the testnet were good, but as the network grew, the team identified ways to make this record-keeping process much more efficient. This upgrade streamlines how transactions are confirmed and added to the blockchain, which means things can happen faster and use fewer resources. It's like upgrading a city's traffic light system to a smart grid. Another critical improvement is in the area of network stability and peer-to-peer communication. The Pi network relies on a vast web of individual nodes, computers run by community members, to validate transactions. Testnet v23 introduces better protocols for how these nodes talk to each other, making the network more resilient. If one part of the network has a problem, the rest can adapt more effectively. This is crucial for decentralization, ensuring that the network doesn't depend on a few central points of failure and can maintain its integrity, even with millions of participants. Furthermore, this upgrade lays the groundwork for more complex smart contract capabilities. Smart contracts are like digital agreements that automatically execute when certain conditions are met. While Pi already had basic smart contract functionality, v23 refines the environment, making it more robust and versatile for developers. This opens the door for a future where you can use your Pi for everything from playing games to participating in decentralized finance services, all within the Pi ecosystem. Finally, Testnet v23 includes significant optimizations for resource usage. This has always been a core part of Pi's philosophy. The new version refines the consensus algorithm and other processes to be even lighter on the hardware running the nodes. As you dive into the Pi community, especially around the time of a big update, you'll likely see a phrase popping up everywhere: "Say yes to GCV." This might sound like a cryptic slogan, but it represents a powerful idea that has gained a lot of momentum among pioneers. GCV stands for Global Consensus Value. This might sound like a cryptic slogan, but it represents a powerful idea that has gained a lot of momentum among pioneers. It's not an official price set by the Pi core team, but rather a community-driven movement to establish a high, stable value for Pi from the moment the open mainnet launches. It could become a self-fulfilling prophecy. The most commonly cited figure within the GCV movement is $314,159 per Pi. The number itself is a playful nod to the mathematical constant Pi, which is about 3.14159. The core belief is that if a massive number of users, merchants, and dApp developers all commit to honoring this value in their transactions within the ecosystem, it will set a strong precedent for the coin's price on the open market. It's an attempt to bootstrap the value of Pi based on the strength and unity of its community, rather than leaving it to the wild price swings and speculation typical of new crypto launches. This movement is really about psychology and collective action. In a traditional market, value is determined by supply and demand. The GCV proponents argue that for a network as large as Pi, the demand side can be heavily influenced by the shared belief of its tens of millions of users. If everyone agrees that one Pi is worth a significant amount, they will be less likely to sell it for cheap when the market opens. This could prevent a massive initial sell-off that often crashes the price of new cryptocurrencies and instead create a stable foundation for long-term growth. The journey from a simple idea to a fully functioning open cryptocurrency network is long and complex. The launch of the open mainnet is the final destination, the moment when Pi transitions from a closed ecosystem into a real-world, publicly tradable asset. Testnet version 23 is not just another update, it's a critical milestone on this road. It serves as the final, most rigorous testing ground for the technology that will underpin the entire open network. A successful and stable run on version 23 is one of the last major technical hurdles to clear before the core team can confidently open the gates. Think of the mainnet launch like the launch of a rocket. You don't just build it and press the launch button. There are countless pre-flight checks, simulations, and system tests. Testnet version 23 is the equivalent of the final full system simulation. It checks if the engine, that's the consensus algorithm, is powerful and efficient enough. If the navigation system, meaning the transaction processing, is accurate, and if the life support systems or the node network are stable and resilient. A flawless performance during this phase gives the green light for the actual launch, ensuring the rocket doesn't fail on the launch pad. Moreover, this upgrade directly addresses the conditions the core team has set for the open mainnet launch. They have consistently stated that the launch depends on technical readiness and ecosystem maturity. Testnet version 23 is all about proving the technical readiness. By implementing these significant improvements and stress testing them, the team is building a verifiable case that the technology is sound. This moves the needle significantly, shifting the focus more towards the other condition, building a mature ecosystem with real utility. This upgrade also boosts confidence across the entire ecosystem. The story of Pi didn't start with a flashy launch or a billion-dollar ICO. It began quietly in March 2019 with a white paper and a mobile app. This was phase 1. The goal was simple: distribute the currency, grow the network. Early adopters, the first pioneers, could mine Pi at a relatively high rate. As the network grew, hitting milestones like 100,000 users, 1 million, and then 10 million, the base mining rate was halved each time. This was designed to reward early contributors while creating scarcity. Next came phase 2, the testnet. This phase officially began in March 2020. This is when the development got technical. The core team launched the first version of the Pi node software, allowing dedicated community members to run the testnet blockchain on their computers. This was a crucial step towards decentralization. Alongside the node software, the Pi wallet was introduced, giving pioneers a place to hold and transact with TestPi. The most significant evolution came in December 2021 with the launch of the enclosed Mainnet. This was a masterstroke. It was the live blockchain, the real deal, but with a protective wall around it. This meant that real Pi, not TestPi, could be migrated to pioneers' wallets after they passed KYC. However, this Mainnet was enclosed, meaning it did not have connectivity to other blockchains or external exchanges. This allowed for real peer-to-peer transactions and app-to-peer transactions to occur within the PI ecosystem. And that brings us to today, September 16th, 2025. We are deep into the enclosed Mainnet period, a phase dedicated to mass KYC, ecosystem building, and final technical preparations. The launch of Testnet version 23 fits perfectly into this stage. It represents the final polish on the engine before it's attached to the Mainnet blockchain for the open network period. So, with Testnet version 23 up and running, what's the next chapter in the Pi story? The immediate future is all about data. The core team will be intensely monitoring the performance of the upgraded testnet, looking for any remaining bugs, security vulnerabilities, performance bottlenecks. They'll be encouraging pioneers and node operators to push the system, to transact, and to test its limits. This period of rigorous testing is the final exam for the technology. A successful outcome here is the strongest indicator that the technical requirements for the open Mainnet launch are being met. Simultaneously, the focus will continue to be on growing the ecosystem. Technology alone doesn't give a currency value. Utility does. The push for more developers to build useful applications on the Pi platform will intensify. We can expect more hackathons, more developer resources, more incentives to create decentralized apps, all powered by Pi. The goal is a thriving digital marketplace where pioneers have compelling reasons to use their Pi. For us pioneers, the next steps are to stay engaged and get ready. Complete your KYC if you haven't already. Migrate your Pi to the Mainnet. Explore the apps in the Pi browser. It's also a time to learn. Understand how the wallet works, practice making test transactions, and familiarize yourself with the security best practices like never sharing your wallet passphrase. As we get closer to the open Mainnet, being an informed and prepared user will be more important than ever. Testnet v23 is one of the last major technical signposts on the road to freedom for Pi. It signals that the end of development and testing is in sight. The core team hasn't given an exact date, but they're checking the final boxes. The future is about transitioning from building the technology to unleashing its potential. It's about moving from a closed, protected environment to an open, global economy. The wait has been long, but with this upgrade, the future of the Pi network is looking very bright indeed.